Hello there, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the weekly POV. I am once again joined by Adam today, and I'm so glad to have
I
Adam with me once again.
I am glad to be
Thanks, Adam.
back. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about this episode. And on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Bad Batch. We're going to be talking about the news of the week, and I'll also be reviewing episode 5 of The Last of Us. But that's what to look forward to in this episode. But Adam, what have you been up to? And, do you have any recommendations for us or just in general, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so I've been still doing the whole pastor thing, and that's
You didn't quit?
usually
No.
no, I didn't quit. Um, that's been taking up a good chunk of my time. However, in between, I trying to squeeze in some stuff here and there. Just tonight, actually, I watched Quantum of Solace. I got the uh, Daniel Craig collection, 4K collection of his movies.
Nice.
So a couple weeks ago, I watched the unrated version of Casino Royale and couldn't really tell what they had. So I had to Google
I
what
was
they
gonna.
had.
I didn't realize there was an unrated version.
Yeah, apparently the 4K is the 4K version's unrated. So I had to, apparently it's a couple of the fight scenes. I guess they didn't edit down as much. So
Okay.
it wasn't anything earth shattering. Um, and then tonight I watched um, Quantum of Solace, and I actually like that. I know a lot of people don't like that one.
Hmm.
I actually don't mind it. It's not quite as good as the rest of Daniel Craig's outings, but I think it's still a pretty fun watch. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably my least favorite of the Daniel Craig Bond
Yeah, me
movies,
too.
but I
Yeah,
still enjoyed it.
yeah.
Um, I have that Daniel Craig Bond collection too, but I don't know if you have the physical copy. Mine's just
hmm
digital,
No, no, I have the
so
physical. Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, and I've actually been wanting to go back and watch No Time to Die again. I've been in the mood to
yeah,
watch that
and
again.
yeah. I'll be getting there, so I'm gonna go through them all here. And that's gonna be part of my I'm going back because I have the entire Bond collection, but most of them are on DVD, so I'm gonna be going back and rebuying them on at least Blu-ray because I don't think that the 4Ks are available on the rest of them. But I'm gonna upgrade that collection at least. So
There you go. Sounds good.
I
Um,
do have one other recommendation. Did you ever watch The Chosen?
no, but I've been hearing really good things about it, and it's on my list for
You should
sure.
watch The Chosen. I'm gonna highly recommend that. Uh, I watched the whole season, the first season, through a couple times. I haven't started seasons 2 or 3 yet. We actually started a Bible study at church that I decided to center around The Chosen and using some resources available for that show to use it as a Bible study.
Hmm.
And I got to say, the first episode of that show really moved me to tears at the end. How it ends, really beautifully done. So I highly recommend The Chosen if you're looking for some faith based content.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. Is there an app that you can watch it like
There's like
on
a hundred
TV,
different
on your
places you
TV or
can watch
whatever?
it. Yeah, I mean, it's the first season's on Netflix and Amazon Prime. I know the first
Hmm.
two seasons are on Peacock.
Okay.
They have it on like Tubi and Crackle and Plex and all this other stuff. But then there is an official Chosen app, or
Hmm.
I think there might also be an Angel Studios app, and that's on Roku and Apple TV and Fire TV and
Okay.
all of this other stuff. So, and the best thing about it is it's all available for free.
Yeah, that's
If
great.
you watch it through the official Chosen app, it's all free. They kind of like crowdfund to make this show, and then they have been putting it out in theaters as well. Sometimes for some of the major episodes, and they've been doing pretty well in theaters, as well.
Hmm.
Um, but the plus side of this is that they make it available really for free or no additional cost in as many places as they can. So
Well, it's good that it's readily available then,
yeah,
to
yeah,
people, and when you're talking about something that's, biblically based, you want it
sure,
to
yeah,
reach a lot
absolutely,
of
yep,
people. So that's fantastic. So
yep.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Thanks for that recommendation.
You're welcome.
What I've been up to is I actually, and Adam, we were talking a little bit about this. I actually built my first Lego set that my wife and daughter got me for my 37th birthday just a few weeks ago. And it is the Luke Skywalker Red 5 helmet that's behind me if you're watching on YouTube. And, I just about like the last 3 Fridays or so, I just sat down and worked on like one part at a time and took my time with it. And um, I really enjoyed it. It was I'd never done Legos when I was younger for whatever reason. I played with Ninja Turtles and stuff,
Yeah, same here.
other
Same
action
here.
figures, but
Yeah.
but I enjoyed it. It was cool.
Cool.
I've also been watching a little bit of the Dahmer series on Netflix, and it's
Is that
very
the dramatic reenactment one,
this is the one
or is
with
it the actual
Evan
like documentary?
it's the one with Evan Peters,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's
That's the dramatic one. Okay, all right.
yeah, it's the dramatic one, and it's chilling. I mean, it's just I mean, it's disturbing to see what this person did. But I'm also fascinated by like serial killers and how their mind works and everything. And
Hmm.
um, it's one of those things that's really interesting to me. At the same time, it's just horrible. um,
Yeah.
so it's definitely not for the faint at heart. But something I've just decided to check out.
Yeah, I started that and I actually gave up on it.
Hmm.
I stopped that one.
Yeah, I can't
I
blame you.
didn't feel too good, like, for someone that loves true crime and stuff,
Hmm.
and I've watched a lot of other Dahmer documentaries. Um, that one I kind of drew a line on personally, so
It's
I
hard to
gave up on,
watch.
yeah, I gave up on that one.
Yeah, I really don't recommend it to everybody.
Yeah,
It's definitely hard to watch.
yeah.
So, another thing I've been watching, we'll watch today. I actually watched episodes 7 and 8 of the Bad Batch season 2.
Okay.
Wanted to talk about those two episodes a little bit here. So we had the Clone Conspiracy was episode 7, and then Truth and Consequences was episode 8. And these I'm glad that they aired them at the same time because these two episodes really go together. It's like a two-parter story.
Hmm.
um it's probably my favorite story of this season, if not like my favorite couple episodes of the entire series, because I felt that the plot was very interesting. It really ties into canon with that transition between the clone army and then the stormtroopers,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it kind of
Right.
fills in some of those details and some of those gaps between episodes 3 and 4, and it kind of has these implications for that. And I also enjoyed getting to see Coruscant again. I love Coruscant; it's one of my favorite planets.
Coruscant looks
So
great in this
yeah,
show too.
it does. And we get some scenes in like the Senate chamber and everything.
Hmm.
We get Bail Organa. Um, Basically, what we have is this Admiral Rampart is trying, and I'm sure the Emperor's like behind it, but he's trying to pass this defense recruitment bill, because basically what's happening here is the clones are aging and they're trying to like find a way to phase them out and just create this new army of stormtroopers. And the cities of Camino were destroyed and everything.
Hmm.
And it's just a very interesting like political storyline that I really appreciated. um Adam, what did you think of these couple episodes?
Yeah, I thought they were very good as well. I struggle with Bad Batch in
Yeah.
general. I don't know why. I don't know what it is.
No, I do too, though. I hear you.
But I just struggle in general. It fails to usually hold my attention span real well,
Hmm.
and I don't know if that's just that might be on me. So I'm
It's
not
not
gonna.
just you. I mean, it's me
All right.
too. It's not just
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I struggle with it. I wasn't quite sure, and I'm not sure her name, the new blue, and I believe that was a
The blue
character.
senator,
Yeah,
Chuchi,
and I believe that was a new character, right?
as far as I know.
Um, she basically was just Omega to me.
Yeah, yeah, she did sound
It just
and
felt
was similar to yeah.
like the character and all that stuff just felt like Omega, but now she's blue. uh,
Yeah.
so,
No,
but
I
overall,
don't disagree.
the stuff that you loved and mentioned, I also loved. But that was just a couple things that stood out for me. So
Yeah, I feel like the Bad Batch is kind of like how Boba Fett was for me, where
okay,
actually my favorite episode of the series didn't involve the main characters, and
yeah,
that's what episode 7 really is. None of the Bad Batch are in it,
right,
and uh, why can't I think of her name that you just mentioned?
Omega,
Omega.
Omega,
Omega
yeah,
isn't in it. The Bad Batch isn't in it, but it was one of the
mhm,
most intriguing. Like I think that's why I was so pleasantly surprised by this episode was because I was actually engaged in it, and it was actually a really interesting, intriguing story for me. Because
right,
I've always wondered like how did the clone army become the stormtroopers, and we even get in episode 8 now the Bad Batch does get involved. Rex shows up at the end of episode 7 to save Chuchi, and then he calls upon the Bad Batch in episode 8 to kind of come to Coruscant, and they're trying to accomplish this mission of capturing um, the command log on Rampart's ship and everything, and get it to Chuchi before they pass this bill, basically showing that he was
hmm
behind destroying the cities of Camino. And then we actually get the Emperor shows up in episode 8, and it sure sounded like
yeah,
Ian McDermott to me. um, and he basically uses this situation to like basically pass the bill anyways. He throws Rampart under the bus, absolutely, and he's found to be guilty, and he's taken out of there and everything. But the Emperor like basically blames him and his clones and says, "Okay, we got to move past the clones." And he basically announces the creation of the Imperial Stormtrooper in this episode. So
yeah,
I thought
right,
that was very cool. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure who played him in this. I haven't looked that up, but there was also, and I'm not going to remember who voiced him in some other stuff as well. But
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
I would imagine it was one of those
Mm-hmm.
one of those peeps.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think out there of the Bad Batch episodes 7 and 8? I don't know if they're gonna take like a mid-season break here or not. I'm not sure. Again, it's not a show I follow closely enough to really know, but I was impressed by these couple of episodes. But now, with that out of the way, we are gonna head into our news segment for the week. So first up, we got an announcement from, I guess, new CEO Bob Iger, returning CEO Bob Iger. He has a lot of work to do with the Disney company, just kind of losing a lot of money recently. And this was a quarter 1 earnings call, and Bob, I like to call him Uncle Bob. I love Bob Iger. He's my guy, but today he says, I am so pleased to announce that we have sequels in the works from our animation studios to some of our most popular franchises, Toy Story, Frozen, and Zootopia. We'll have more to share about these productions soon, but this is a great example of how we're leaning into our unrivaled brands and franchises. Um, so, what do you think of Iger's approach here to kind of lean into what they know works? Because, we've seen with some of the recent releases like what was it, Strange World. It basically, according to Deadline here, they say Strange World tanked with under 74 million worldwide. Um, Encanto, however you say it, did a little bit better, and I
No,
thought that was
Encanto did pretty well. Yeah,
and I really enjoyed that one. Um, but yeah, I don't. What do you think of this approach?
Frozen 3, I think, was a must. To be honest,
Hmm.
I think
I
that
agree.
series deserves a trilogy. And I think that the second movie, I actually like the second movie a lot better than the first. And I think that they brought in some interesting lore into that world
Hmm.
that deserves to be explored more. Zootopia, I was fully expecting a sequel to that. So, sequel to Zootopia is fine. Toy Story 5, they gotta quit.
Yeah, I
They
agree.
gotta stop Toy Story. It they had the perfect ending with 3. They didn't need to do 4, and I think that it showed, and now we're gonna do a 5th one. Not happy about Toy Story 5, to be honest with you. I'll see it, but I'm not thrilled by it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I think they should have ended Toy Story with Toy Story 3. And I don't like where Woody's character
No,
kind of
I
ended
hate
up
I
at the end of Toy
yeah,
Story
I
4.
agree. I did not like that at all.
So the only thing I really would be interested in is seeing them kind of right the ship on that one on Woody's character and bring him back into the mix somehow and just, kind of for those that felt the way we did about that ending and everything. But
Yeah,
I pretty much 100% agree with you on this one, Adam.
yeah, cool.
But I do think, Bob Iger knows what works and
I
um,
hope so because
you know,
I don't know that Strange World and everything else that they've done in theaters recently, with the exception of like Encanto and things like that.
mhm.
I don't think that those tank because they were bad stories. I think those tank because they're leaning into some things that don't work um,
Yeah.
for a lot of
Yeah.
people. So
I know exactly what you're saying. But next up, we're going to talk a little bit about another movie that has, well, there's a little controversy surrounding this
yeah, a
one.
little bit.
The Flash with Ezra Miller. So we got a poster that was teased ahead of the Super Bowl trailer that we're going to get. Now, before all this stuff with Ezra Miller and basically his crimes,
Yeah,
um,
m-
I was very excited about this movie,
me
and
too.
I still am. But it certainly puts a damper on things to know that, and I think there's a lot of DC fans out there who are very upset that they're replacing Henry Cavill, who is a great Superman.
Mhm.
And I've said before, I think he's fantastic, but I understand that there can be another Superman other than Henry Cavill. Um, but that they're going to replace Henry Cavill, but they're not going to replace Ezra Miller after all the times he's been arrested and whatever, been in jail. I don't know. But trying to put my feelings of that aside, this is a pretty cool poster. It says "Worlds Collide," and we have the Batman logo, and then we have the Flash, and you can't see Ezra Miller's face there, which is interesting. I'm not saying that they're gonna like remove him from the movie or anything like that, because even James Gunn has talked about possibly working with him again in the future. But I've talked enough about this. So, Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a cool poster. What I said on Twitter really was, it's a cool poster, but I have a really hard time being excited for this. And the Batwing up there, the Keaton Batwing, is really neat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't, I, I have a hard time thinking that they're gonna keep him on as the Flash. I think that James Gunn says that type of stuff just because this movie's coming out.
Yeah, that could be.
And I don't think that they're gonna just come out and say, "Hey, this is," you know, mm, I don't think they're gonna be totally truthful, is what I'm really saying, and I don't think they're gonna say, "Hey, we're gonna put this out because this was already in the pipeline, and we really have a lot of money invested into this now, and we're not gonna just
Mm-hmm.
drop it." And so we're gonna put this out there, and we know that people aren't really going to be so excited about it anymore because we have a douchebag as a as as a lead actor. But we're just going to put it out there and try to recoup some cost, and that's what we're going to do. And that
Yeah,
that would be honesty. And then after that,
yeah,
we're done with him. Um, I hope that that's what it is. I hope that's the
yeah.
honest version of it.
And that's a really good point you make there, Adam, that even if they are going to scrap Ezra Miller as the Flash, like they're probably not going to tell us that yet, until after
Yeah,
this movie comes out.
yeah.
Just because otherwise people would probably be like, what's the point in me seeing it?
I'll
But
be honest. I don't think that this is one. For as excited as I was about the Keaton stuff, I don't think this is one I'm going to see in theaters.
mhm.
Just for that reason, I don't
Yeah,
really feel like supporting it because of that. So
that is
um,
fair.
I
That is
might check it out on HBO Max, and
mhm.
then But I really don't plan on seeing it in the theaters.
Yeah, and speaking of the theaters, it does come out in theaters June 16th, and then we'll have to see when it comes to HBO Max.
Probably depends on how bad it does.
Probably. Um, let's move over to the Indiana Jones franchise. And Harrison Ford talks a little bit about de aging in this movie. And one of the things that really struck me about the trailer when I saw it was like, wow, Harrison Ford looks really young. This must be some type of flashback, like de aging type of scene. I was pretty impressed by what I saw. And I think Harrison Ford felt the same way. But at first, he says, I never loved the idea until I saw how it was accomplished in this case, which is very different than the way it's been done in other films I've seen. He says they've got every frame of film, either printed or unprinted, of me during 40 years of working with Lucasfilm on various stuff. I can act this scene and they sort through with AI every, and he says effing foot of film to find me in that same angle and light. It's bizarre and it works and it's my face. So I think that's pretty interesting. Um, the just amount of footage they had to draw from for this, and you've got to imagine that they're improving with the technology when it comes to de-aging,
I hope
and I
so.
think there's still a debate between like de-aging and deep fake and which is better and those types of things. But from what I saw, I was pretty impressed. But time will tell when the movie comes out.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, people are going to disagree with me here, but I think that the best technology for this type of stuff is just recasting.
Yeah.
And I know
Hmm.
that people get tied to Harrison Ford, especially in these roles like Indy and Han Solo, but I am getting close to the point where I'm just tired of seeing weird facial movements,
Yeah.
and I would just rather see a real person.
Hmm. Yeah. I totally get that as well.
But what
But
he
yeah,
says sounds interesting, and I would like to see how it works out. So,
yeah, I'll be curious to see how convincing it is and everything.
yeah.
I think the face is obviously the hardest thing to duplicate on screen because we're just so wired to be able to recognize even the
Mhm.
slightest
Absolutely.
facial
Yep.
expressions and movements and everything
Mhm.
as human beings. So, um, yeah, maybe recasting is the best option. But sticking with Lucasfilm, let's move over to some Star Wars news. We have a date announcement for Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures, and that's going to be coming on May the 4th. So May the 4th be with you with the Young Jedi Adventures, and Visions Season 2 is also going to be coming out that day too. I'm not super into anime, so I'm not, terribly
Yeah.
excited about that, but
Yeah,
um,
unfortunately, I'm with you on that. I watched the first season, and it was okay. It's
yeah.
not.
Yeah, now this Young Jedi Adventure show actually takes place in the High Republic era, and we've got Yoda training some younglings. And this show is definitely geared towards the younger audience. I would say almost like a Disney Junior type audience that this one's going for.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Disney Junior, isn't it?
I think so.
Alongside Disney Plus, I
Hmm.
believe. So, yeah.
I believe so. Yeah. So, um, yeah, this says, yeah, May 4th, 2023. So there's that. And continuing in Star Wars, Jedi Survivor got a bit of a delay. I don't recall exactly when it was pushed back until, but even though the game did get delayed, they also released some footage, and there's like 9 minutes of gameplay that we got from IGN. But yeah, this planet. Let me see what planet this is. So it's on a new planet called Kobo, um, and there's just some real beautiful imagery and stuff here in the game. I'm very excited. I think it'll be worth the wait. I figure I'm still playing The Last of Us for PS5. Brittany just got Hogwarts Legacy that she's downstairs playing right now as we speak. So I've got some time to play some other stuff and wait a little bit longer if they need to make some more perfections to this game and everything.
Mhm.
But where are you at with the next Jedi Fallen Order video game?
I'm not in any hurry, like you said.
Yeah.
I would rather it be done and be good and, than have to worry about patching and all that other stuff, so
Hmm.
I'm okay.
But yeah, if you guys are interested in this footage, you can head over to IGN's YouTube channel and check out 9 minutes of gameplay from that. So that wraps it up for Star Wars. And last but not least, we're going to talk DC a little bit more. We're going to talk about James Gunn and the Lanterns series that's going to be coming to HBO Max. Um, he says, "We call it Lanterns, and it's starring two of our favorite Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and John Stewart." This was actually Peter Safran who said this. He said it's going to be on HBO Max, as all of our series, are here, and it's a true detective type mystery with our two lanterns, a terrestrial-based mystery that leads into the overall story that we're telling throughout the different movies and television shows. He says, "We find this ancient horror on Earth, and these guys are basically super cops on Precinct Earth." Okay, so, and they said also the chapter one of the new DCU is going to be called Gods and Monsters, and it'll feature a multitude of movies and TV shows and kind of alternate back and forth between films and TV shows. So, Adam, are you excited about um, the Lanterns show and leading into this chapter one? I didn't really get your thoughts about James Gunn and their direction on DC. What are your thoughts?
Um, yeah, I'm really good and really at peace with moving on with DC, and that includes like Henry and Gal and all those.
Hmm.
Um, we've had a lot of great Supermen over the years, and I have no doubt that they can do that again. Not to say that it might be better or worse than Henry Cavill. The time will tell with that. But we've had great Supermen in the past, and I'm sure that we're going to have great Supermen in the future. So that doesn't really bother me so much. Uh, I am. I was a little underwhelmed with some of the stuff that they revealed in that
Hmm.
first phase.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was too, actually.
so I think that's really where I was with that as a whole, is a little bit underwhelmed. Um, I getting into lanterns now. I love Green Lantern, and
Hmm.
I really hope that this is going to be something that I enjoy. I'm a little worried about how they're describing this with like the true detective stuff. You know, Green Lantern is like almost like a military corps, and so it's just making it like this mystery with Precinct Earth and Super Cops. I'm not quite sure how that all fits into that, but so
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's not like drastically different than what I'm used to, and sometimes changes like that work. Sometimes it's just too much for not enough reason. So I'm a little worried about that. But I love Green Lantern, so I'm definitely going to be giving that a shot. So
Yeah, I think with all this DC stuff, I'm just gonna kind of wait and see on it. Ultimately, I'm most excited about Matt Reeves' Batman universe, to be honest, and
yeah,
seeing that continue for me. But I will definitely wait and see on these and check them out, and I'll definitely watch this DC stuff, and
sure,
at least to give it a try and everything. So
yeah.
we will see.
And James Gunn has earned some respect as well. So
Yeah.
um, keeping some
Hmm.
faith in him and his capabilities and what he's done in the past, and knowing that he will bring that same care and depth of knowledge into this universe as well. So,
For sure. Yeah, I'm also willing to give him a chance. So, but yeah, that wraps it up for the news this week. And next up, I am going to give my review of episode 5 of The Last of Us. All right, so let's get straight into my review. Episode 5 of The Last of Us. This one's called Endure and Survive. And this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the series so far. I really enjoyed this one. And, lucky for all of us, Joel and Ellie here wanted to watch the Super Bowl. So, like Ellie suggested, that this came out on Friday instead of Sunday. So it's nice that we got this a little bit sooner. I did watch it Friday night when it came out. And so, tomorrow night, Sunday night, I'll be able to watch the Super Bowl. So I hope you guys got to check this one out a little bit early. If not, make sure you go back and watch episode 5 before you watch this review, because it will contain spoilers. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. And one of the things I enjoyed most about this episode was the story structure of the episode, because at the end, in episode 4, we see that what happens with Joel and Ellie as they enter Kansas City, and they wreck the truck and everything. And then the end of the episode, basically, Ellie's being held at gunpoint by Henry and Sam here, who are characters from the video game. And I thought these characters remain very faithful to the video game. But what I really liked again was being able to almost in this episode go back in time and see where Henry and Sam were when Joel and Ellie were first getting into Kansas City. So I like when shows do that, when they kind of go back. It's like just a little bit of a flashback, and you see episode 4 almost from a different angle with these two characters, and then eventually how they come to meet Joel and Ellie. So that was one of my favorite things about the episode. And again, I just really enjoyed these characters of Henry and Sam. And I really enjoyed what was different about Sam in the episode in the show versus the game was he's deaf. So that just added a whole nother element to this episode. And as I was watching it, I was like, oh, is one of these characters deaf? Or are they just trying to be really quiet and using sign language in order to stay quiet and not be detected and everything? But in reality, Sam is deaf, and that was a good surprise. That was a good change from the game, I feel, in my opinion. But one thing I really liked about the Sam character too was just this whole thing about superheroes. And he's got this face paint on and everything, and he's making all these drawings and pictures of superheroes, of himself as a superhero. um and that was really a cool element of this episode as well. And then we get Joel and Ellie, and I also really enjoyed Ellie's interactions with Sam in this episode. And she kind of picks up on some of the sign language, and um, there's some really good interactions between Sam and Ellie. And just Sam just wonders, like, how are you not afraid? You seem so unafraid and unaffected by everything. But really, Ellie reveals that deep down she is afraid all the time. So I just thought there were some really good character moments in this episode, and character interactions I thought were really solid. This episode also had some good action, as eventually our characters are trying to get out of Kansas City, and they end up going through like the underground tunnel system. And I thought for sure there would be some infected down there, because Henry kind of tells them, I heard from somebody that they've all been, wiped out of there basically, and there's no infected down there. And Joel's kind of thinking to himself, yeah, right. Like, he's like, well, there might be like a couple, but they go down there, and they see this whole that somebody had been living down there. And there's almost this like classroom set up to the whole thing. And there's moments of Ellie and Sam just like kicking a soccer ball and having fun. And it was just this nice moment of just this kind of break from all the horrible things that are happening around these characters and in this world. But then, they emerge from the tunnel area, and they kind of get pinned down here because there's a sniper that is shooting at them, and Joel basically has to go in and try to take this guy out. And but at the same time, we have the Kansas City mob, or whatever we want to call them, that's arriving on the scene too. So it made for a lot of good action, as Joel's in there with the weapon with the scope and everything, and he's taking people out, as um trying to get Henry and Sam and Ellie to be able to get out of there and make their escape. And then we get in this episode something I've been waiting for as a game player. We get a bloater here, and we have all of these infected that emerge from underground here. So they were under there somewhere, and they're just running around like crazy, and it was pretty intense. It was like this swarm of infected, and then you have this bloater who just like rips somebody apart, like rips their head from their shoulders. And it just it was pretty intense. So yeah, we get all that in this episode. So some good action there too. And then in the end of the episode, and oh, man, it gets really tough because we see that Sam gets bitten and he's just, really worried and really scared. And that's when he's asking Ellie about, is she ever scared, and those types of things. And in desperation, when Ellie sees that Sam is bit, she thinks maybe her blood can save him since she's immune. So she tries desperately to like cut herself and put her blood on him to heal him. And so she goes to wake him up, or she doesn't go to wake him up, but in the morning she sees that he's sitting on the bed and he is turned already and goes after her and attacks her. And Henry's the one who has to shoot him. He doesn't let Joel do it, because he's still thinking maybe there's a little bit of hope, but then he realizes he has to kill his little brother, which is just heartbreaking, and then he feels like he has nothing to live for, so he then turns the gun on himself. And so it was just another traumatic event for Ellie to be involved in, and just another step in the journey of these characters. So yeah, it was a pretty intense episode. I really enjoyed Henry and Sam, the portrayal of those characters here. I thought it was really well done. And I'd also like to get into some comparisons between the video game and the show. Now, there are a lot of similarities in this episode between the video game and the show. Yeah, so IGN, again, does a really nice breakdown every week, that you can check out on their YouTube channel, where they compare the game to the TV show, and I've really enjoyed checking that out each week, because sometimes I don't remember all the stuff that happened in the game. And actually, in my replay of The Last of Us for PS5, I haven't gotten to this point yet, so I need to get some more gameplay in this week and catch up with the show. But the game and the TV show were very similar in this episode, and I feel like this is one of the more faithful adaptations, in terms of a single episode to the game. But what did you guys think? Did you enjoy episode 5 of The Last of Us? Be sure to stay tuned to the From a Certain Point of View podcast for your weekly reviews of The Last of Us on HBO Max. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in this week. Adam, it was so great to have you on once again. And yeah, let us know, let them know, Adam, where can they find you? Where can the people that are listening or watching find Adam?
Yeah, and it was great to be back. So thanks for having me. I hope I can keep doing this as often as possible.
I hope
I
so too.
love being back in the podcast chair. I refinished the basement and I made this whole office and like set up for this type of stuff, and then I had to quit. So,
Yeah, that's what I
so
was
it's
thinking
nice to
too, man.
it's nice
Yeah,
to be able
I
to.
was like, you know what? I got this I got this second screen to hook up into my laptop, and I got this set up behind. I'm like, I got to use it. So,
Yeah.
here we are. We're just using our stuff.
Yeah, so y'all can find me on Twitter at the Gauze85, THEGOZ85, and check out my church's website, SavannahUMChurch.com. We just went through a whole revamp of that. We're going to have an app coming out. I've got all my uh, media and sermons up there as well. So you can see what I've been up to by going to that website.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. You can find From a Certain Point of View on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel From a Certain Point of View. On Facebook, we are From a Certain Point of View. On Twitter, at Certain POV Pod. And you can send us an email. That is certainpovpod@gmail.com. You can ask any questions you'd like or come up with show topics. And also, we are a proud member of the Red 5 Network. That's red5network.com and at red5network on Twitter. And I would like to just put something out there. I know we were recording tonight also with Conversations. They were doing a
Yeah, yeah.
100th episode celebration, so make sure you check that out too. I'm sure it'll be very entertaining.
And
But
congrats to those guys. They've become very, very fast friends here.
yes, great friends of ours, and
Yeah, the end of the show, and love Charles and Pat, so congrats to them.
absolutely. And thank you once again for tuning in this week. Stay tuned to From a Certain Point of View for your movie and TV news, reviews, and points of view. And everything we said today was true.
From a certain point of view.